Okay, guys, just going to do a nice little video here, a little chat about the Manchester City Liverpool disparity between wages and net transfer and stuff like that. There's a great thread on Twitter at the moment. I think it's trending. It's by Swiss Ramble. Check it out at Swiss Ramble. It's brilliant. He always is brilliant. He does great stuff on Liverpool, Liverpool and football business. You know, net transfers. Everything like that, the market in football. He always does a great breakdown. I think he's a background in finance and stuff like that. So I'll just try break it down a little bit, see if you can understand it or not understand it. But check it out on Twitter at Swiss Ramble if you want. So we know Liverpool fans at the moment with FSG are giving out like hell, and rightly so, because of net spend and transfers, ins and outs and stuff like that. So let's just have a little look and see over the last few years what it has been against Manchester City, the oil barons, of course, who have all the money. So let's have a look and see what we can do. Liverpool have a net spend of £60 million in the last 2 years, as gross spend of 164 million has been partly offset by 104 million in sales. The largest purchases were, of course, Darwin Núñez at 72, Diaz at 42 million, and Kanate at 36 million. They were the big major sales, and of course we did sell Sadio Mane to offset that by 29 million. So Manchester City actually had a 4 million net sale in the last 2 years, as high player purchases of 266 million compensated for 270 million sales. So they spent 266 and they got back 270. So net spend of 4 million. I mean, the big purchases, of course, were Jack Grealish at 106, Erling Haaland at 54, Calvin Phillips from Leeds for 44 million. But they also made huge sales in Sterling, Torres, Jesus and Zinchenko. So they were brought huge money in. Liverpool's gross and net transfer spend have been steadily falling since 2019, from 223 million and 163 million respectively, which is partly due, of course, to COVID and pandemic and stuff like that, because that was a bit crazy, wasn't it? Zero net spend in 2020 is quite striking. But we did go on to win the league, and I think that year in 2020 was a big chance for Liverpool. I think that's the big year. That was the big mistake where Liverpool should have spent. When you win the league and you're on top at that time, we brought in hardly anybody, didn't we? Was it Minamino and one or two others, bit part players? Really, we should have been spending big. When we just won the league to stay on top, that was an opportunity lost for FSG. That was the big opportunity, the summer and transfer window of 2020. So Manchester City's net spend has also been in decline from 250 million in the peak in 2018, with the club actually making 54 million net sales in 22-23. Gross spend has held up pretty well also, although the club has generated more from player sales, including good money from academy products. From all the young lads, in other words, they have a huge academy, don't they? Liverpool have had a higher net spend than Manchester City this season and for the last 2 years, 3 years, and even 5 years, which might come as a surprise to some. However, City were building from a strong base, spending much more than Liverpool over the 10-year period. £941 million versus 564 for Liverpool. That's over a 10-year period, of course. It's a different story for gross spend with Manchester City constantly outspending Liverpool. For example, in the last 3 years, City's 460 million is 53%. Yes, 53% more than Liverpool's 300 million. Over the last 10 years, it's also around 50% more, 1.6 billion compared to 1.1 billion. Another driver for the club's success, arguably more important than transfer spend, is wages. Now, we have a big one on wages, don't we? Where Liverpool's are much closer to City's as you might think. For example, there are 950 million total wages in 3 years up to 2021, were only 7% lower than Manchester City's 1 billion, though the difference was 11% in 2021. What we really need to do is have a look at the overall cost of squads, combining transfer fees and wages. One way of doing this is to add together wages and players' amortization, which is the way that football clubs account for transfer fees. That's a good word, isn't it? Amortization. On the basis of wages and players' amortization, the difference is larger than wages alone, but it is still not huge. Example, in the 3 years up to 2021, Liverpool's 1.3 billion was only 11% less than Manchester City's 1.4 billion. However, the difference has been growing. Liverpool 422 million in 2020 to 22, so 2 years there. Wages of 314 million and player amortization was 108 million, was 16% less than City at half a billion, 355 million and 146 million. Add those two together. We will have to wait until 21-22 and 22-23 accounts come out until we see if there's a trend there, but I don't know, maybe there is a trend, maybe there isn't. One other area that Liverpool are unequivocally behind City is owner funding, share capital plus owner loans and stuff like that. Liverpool actually partly repaid loans in the last 5 years, but the real difference came much earlier, with City's 684 million in the last 10 years being significantly more than Liverpool's 110 million. Wow, that's big, isn't it? In 10 years. It's over half a billion there in the difference. As always, when comparing finances for clubs, it's best to look at more than one metric, then consider the impact on other difference in time periods and stuff like that. It's a lot more nuanced, guys. There's a lot more stuff. Check out Swiss Ramble. Check out Swiss Ramble at Twitter. It is top class thread. He's always brilliant, so check him out. But, there is differences there between City and Liverpool. We know there is. Of course there is. They pay higher wages and stuff like that. They've got money. But it's not maybe as big as you would think. So you've got to be careful on what you wish for. Have City spent more money? Yes. Do they pay bigger wages? Yes. Is it huge? 1 or 2 seasons is bigger than other seasons. But I think the 2020 season where Liverpool didn't invest heavily after winning the Premier League, that season, first time in 30 years, that was the season to invest big, and we lost the plot and didn't. Big question for FSG is now, will they do it in January? I think they need to. Stay safe, talk soon. This means more.